Hello and welcome to Lessons in Leadership. I am Mary Gamba. In a little bit, we'll be joined by Steve Adubato, but right now I'm happy to be joined by Mary Beth Cooney, who is Executive Director of Creature Comfort Pet Therapy. Mary Beth, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Mary. I'm pleased to be here.
Absolutely. Before we even start talking about anything at all, who is that adorable pooch on your lap?
This is Kobe. This is our family dog. And Kobe was certified with myself, my daughter, my grandson to do pet therapy. Unfortunately, he had a health incident, so he's now retired. But he went to hospitals, nursing homes. He'd go to presentations with me to recruit more volunteers. And he's such a calm and sweet boy. He's a wonderful dog.
That's so great. Well, let's get right into it. Let's talk a little bit about Creature Comfort Pet Therapy. And I have to full disclosure, I found out about your organization on Facebook, and I am now a volunteer with my partner, Harley. We are a partner therapy team, but just tell us a little bit, what is Creature Comfort Pet Therapy? We're going to put the website up, so if people want to get involved, if they want to donate, if they want to volunteer with their pet, tell us a little bit more about what you do.
So Creature Comfort is a pet therapy organization started in 2011 by two women, Joan Baer and Annie Murphy. And they just recognized from their own experience that there was a need for pet therapy in this part of New Jersey. And so they started very small. They had 3 facilities. Basically, we certified these animals to go into facilities to bring healing comfort. And normally a dog cannot just walk into a facility. So these are scheduled visits that we can contract with the facilities to have so that everybody's prepared for the visits. So Joan and Annie started this with Morristown Medical Center and a nursing home and Greystone Psychiatric Hospital. And that was just 3 facilities. And we now have approximately 300 facilities in 9 counties.
That's amazing. And what are those, you don't have to list all the counties, but I just know because I'm in Westfield myself, you're primarily in northern New Jersey, correct? Southern, northern?
Right. If you kind of we started in Morristown. So if you sort of pinpoint Morristown and take a circle around Morristown, about an hour outside of Morristown, we hit 9 counties. We may not go to the very edge of Bergen or the very bottom of Somerset, but we are west, north, east, south of Morristown and touching 9 counties.
That's amazing. And one thing that I was fascinated to find out about, and I would love for you to talk about, is the fact that we're not just talking about dogs here. I have my therapy dog now, Harley. She went through the rigorous test. I was so proud of her. I was more nervous. It was like going for a test at college, and everything from having to walk by a treat and not take the treat and loud crowds and walk up to someone in a wheelchair and a walker. But I was surprised to find out that there are other type of creatures, if you will, that go into these facilities. Talk a little bit about that.
And that, of course, is more the evaluation for dogs, because these other animals couldn't do everything you just named. The rest of the animals are cats, rabbits, guinea pigs, ferrets, mini goats, and mini horses. And we have had them all at different times. We don't have any ferrets right now. But the percentage is really 90% dogs, as you can imagine. And we have about 260 active teams. But maybe there's 5 to 7 cats at a time and 3 to 5 rabbits and a couple of ferrets and 1 mini goat right now named Lucy. She's precious.
I can't wait to meet Lucy.
Sweetheart, she's just precious. And so there's, so it varies according to how, again, these animals, how long they can last. And that is one of our concerns, that we always need more volunteers because these sweethearts don't live long enough. And unfortunately, we do lose animals every year.
Absolutely. And I would love for you to talk a little bit about the distinction. For many people watching, and we hear about it on the news, people say, I have this comfort animal and I need to bring them on an airplane. I remember it was like a comfort peacock. What is the difference between a service dog and a therapy dog like the one that you're holding right now?
Absolutely. A service dog, you can identify, usually they'll wear some kind of a vest to identify them. And they are performing a service for the person who has a disability of some kind. Could be seen or unseen, but they are with the animal for them to have this service by this animal, which was trained for this particular person. Therefore, which most of us know, when you see a service dog, you do not go near them. They are working, and you do not want to disturb the work that they are doing. They are also legally allowed to go into places as long as the questions are, is this a service dog and what service are they performing? And then they can go into places legally. A therapy dog is not allowed to just go into any place. They are actually there with their owner, because they're all privately owned, to help other people. So their service is to help their other people with their owner, and they can go into places that we schedule as an organization. So they are certified, and they have a right to go in once we schedule with these organizations. We actually contract with them so that they're prepared. We have dates on a calendar. Everything is known ahead of time that they are invited into that facility for that particular time and place.
And if you are a facility watching, we talked a little bit, if you have a dog right now that you think, number one, is able to be a therapy dog, I know I talked about that. You go on the website, I know from personal experience, you put in the application, then you go in for the test. But what if you're a school, a nursing home, and you want to find out more information? How does that work? Do you decide where these therapy dogs are going to go? Or if I have a nonprofit, I could say, hey, Mary Beth, I'm interested. How does that work?
That's actually a very good question. We are known now through word of mouth, through social media, through just having been experienced by people. And so we have facilities who come to us. We literally do not market for facilities, mainly because we are in such high demand that we get 30 to 50 new requests a month from facilities. And we cannot take them all on because, of course, we don't have enough volunteers to fill every single one, because we want the visits to be secure. We want them to be filled when they're on that calendar. So they go on to our website. They also put in an application like you did as a volunteer, and that gives us all the information we need. And then our scheduling coordinator, Nancy, will call them and check with them as to what their needs are. Some facilities don't fully understand what the value or what the best use of pet therapy is. So if they're a high school and they say, oh, can the animals just sort of stand in the hall and the kids will walk past them? That wouldn't be the best use of the animal. Instead, we say, do you have a special needs classroom? Do you have a guidance office where maybe they can come in and help with the children who are under stress that day? And so we explain and teach to the facilities what is the best use of the animals. And then we help to figure out which animals are best for different types of facilities. Libraries with children, it is a quiet place, but they're children, so it takes a little bit of energy. A nursing home would definitely be a calmer, quieter animal. And so there's different settings that fit best. And the animal is actually who dictates which are the best facilities for the owner to go to.
Absolutely. I was just going to say that I recently visited a location, and it was a site for individuals with special needs. And it was just amazing watching Harley walk up to the different individuals and just greet them in different ways and the way that they wanted to be greeted. So that was really, really neat to see. And throughout, we've been putting up pictures and videos. So if you are interested, if you have an animal, if you have a dog, if you have a cat, and I just want to say it doesn't take much time. I mean, it's literally, you could do 1 hour a month. And I know I sound like an infomercial for Creature Comfort, but it's just been so rewarding to me and to Harley. And it's funny because you said if you have a dog, my previous dog, Brody, was an English bulldog. He would not have been a good therapy dog. He would have eaten anything on the floor. He would have jumped up on people. So people say, well, how do you know if your dog wants to do it? Trust me, your dog enjoys it and wants to do it. You can tell if they do. So I just want to say on behalf of Steve Adubato and our entire team, thank you so much for the great work that you do. And again, we'll put up the website if you're interested in volunteering and getting more information for Creature Comfort. Log on today and learn some more. And thank you so much, Mary Beth, for joining us.
Thank you so much. This was a pleasure. And thank you for being a team.
It's so exciting. Yes. And thanks so much. And everyone stay with us. We'll be right back after this.
This edition of Lessons in Leadership is made possible by the Buccino Leadership Institute at Seton Hall University, Prager Metis, Valley Bank, the International Union of Operating Engineers Local 825, the North Ward Center, the New Jersey Sharing Network, the Helix, Horizon Blue Cross Blue Shield of New Jersey, Fedway Associates Inc., Port Authority of New York and New Jersey, Choose New Jersey, and Seton Hall University, showing the world what great minds can do since 1856.
This is Mary Gamba. If you want more leadership tips and tools, log on to stand-deliver.com. That's stand-deliver.com.
Promotional support for this edition of Lessons in Leadership with me, Steve Adubato, and my colleague Mary Gamba has been provided by NJ.com, NJBIA and New Jersey Business Magazine, CIANJ and Commerce Magazine, and the Meadowlands Chamber and Meadowlands Media.
When people were coming here to build the future, they needed a bank they could trust. But no one thought we could grow beyond a small town. They called us just another sleepy community bank. We proved them wrong. And for almost 100 years, Valley Bank has been committed to showing you what's possible. So, let them say whatever they want about us. We'll just keep being us. Because whatever you want to do next, Valley will be here to make it possible.
Welcome back to Lessons in Leadership. Steve Adubato. You may not have realized I was still on the show because you just saw Mary Gamba, my colleague, open the show, ignore the fact that I wasn't even there, and then she did an interview with Mary Beth Cooney, Executive Director of Creature Comfort Pet Therapy. Mary, that was the first interview you've conducted all alone. Now, Bernie Corrigan, our good friend from the IBEW Local 102 is here. Bernie, we've been friends for years. I want you to hear this. Leadership is sometimes about telling your team, go out there and you be the quarterback. Mary, what was it like being the quarterback?
Well, I love the fact. So, Bernie, you'll get a kick out of this. So not only did he have me be the quarterback, but he told me about 8 minutes before the segment was going to happen. So I'm like, I've got this team. I just embraced it. It was something I was passionate about. We all know that Steve is not a complete dog animal person, and every once in a while I try to sneak in. So, Bernie, just to give you a quick 30-second background, Harley, my dog, my rescue dog, and I have become a therapy team with this great organization called Creature Comfort, and we go into hospitals, veteran centers, et cetera. And so we had her on, and then Steve, right before, he's like, "You've got this," and I'm like, "Yes, I do," and it was fantastic. So,
awesome.
It was really good.
Bernie Corrigan is a Mary Gamba fan. So, Bernie, I'm going to bring this back to you and your team. And we've been partners with Bernie for several years in the IBEW Local 102. Check out their website. They're actually celebrating a pretty big anniversary, 125th anniversary on January 17, 2025. We'll try to air it right around then, but it'll be in repeats. Bernie, quick question on this, in all seriousness, connected to what I just did to Mary, or with Mary. In your industry, how often do you have to literally hand the ball off to someone on the team and say, now you're the quarterback?
Obviously, quite often, 125 years. And it's interesting that you brought it up because when the question comes up to me, I've been thinking about it and my answer has kind of evolved. And I think it's part history. Like we like to look back and say, wow, this is cool. We were around for the Industrial Revolution. When Edison was in his lab, we were there breaking ground, having an impact. Obviously, we had to hand it off to the next person. And, there's a certain pride into handing the ball off and they continue to go because only less than a fraction of 1% of organizations make it 100 years. We've made it 125. So now I look at it and say, well, what do I do now? Because, great to honor our history, but it's almost like making the Final Four, Steve. Like you and I always like to use sports analogies. People look at that like it's the championship, but the job's not done. You got to move forward. So I'm kind of using that tagline a little bit, honoring our history, but inspiring our future.
Along those lines, Bernie, stay on that. Because we have worked together before, and I've done some leadership coaching at the IBEW Local 102 in the past, and I've got to know a little bit about the team members and how committed they are to the work of this local and also their profession. But I'm curious about you, Bernie, as a leader. I've always known you're a great teacher, but you're also a student of leadership. How do you keep yourself motivated, fresh, new, innovating, on top of your game, as opposed to some old coach who won a bunch of Super Bowls and goes, I'm done? That's not you.
No. I think it's about engaging the team, Steve. It's getting them involved, being able to have that constructive dialogue, whether it's with your own team, whether it's with the business community. I'm from labor. I need to have that conversation with them. We're all about making this region thrive because if New Jersey thrives, Local 102 thrives, our members thrive. And if I instill that in our entire membership and take their feedback, evaluate what I'm doing, I could pivot from there.
And then, by the way, we're talking about electrical workers, which means a whole bunch of different things. Mary, I want to get into this Rowan University. Rowan University is one of our higher ed.
You read my mind.
Go ahead, Mary.
Yeah, Rowan University partnership expansion. You originally had a pathway to a BA in construction management, but now that it's been expanded, which is another way that you're innovating, evolving. Can you talk about that partnership with Rowan, what it was, and what the future is going to look like?
Yeah, great partnership. And this is again about always trying to do things better. I like to say it's nice to have goals, but I think goals should be like mile markers on a road that never ends. So I approached them about delivering this, but there were some hurdles. So Provost Tony Lohman, Dean Giuseppe Palmise, both great guys.
Great guys.
They had this certificate program. And I said, I want to try to roll this out as a pilot program, get more people involved in it. And Provost Lohman said, well, what's the one issue you have? I said, well, even though we have 75% tuition reimbursement, sometimes that 25% is still a hurdle for some people.
That's right.
That's how quick the conversation was. And he said to me, well, we're going to scholarship that other 25%. We have 50 of our members in the first cohort of these people taking the management courses there.
What's going to be the impact of that, Bernie?
Again, it makes people more agile. It makes them better employees, makes them more agile. Construction, unfortunately, the one thing is it's very cyclical, and sometimes there's unemployment. So if I could provide a springboard for someone to segue to another part of the business, or maybe even outside of our trade, I've built that relationship. I can now reach out to them and hopefully build more opportunities for our members because I provided them that foundation to build from.
Bernie, as you talk about this partnership with Rowan and they've been great higher ed partners with us for years, and they keep innovating, which is why they're doing so well. But along those lines, I'm curious about this. When we were doing our leadership coaching, together, I often wondered, and even with your folks going into this Rowan initiative, because there's a managerial component to it, do a significant number of your members say, hey, wait a minute, I didn't sign up to be a leader. I didn't sign up to be a manager. I signed up to be technically proficient and excellent in this field. What's up with this management and leadership stuff? Do you ever sense that, Bernie?
There's still always look, we have an organization of close to 3,000 people, so it's tough to change a mindset of every single one of them, but we have cultivated over the past 10 to 15 years a mindset of that everyone should be a leader at whatever level they are in the organization. So whether it's in the classroom, just with their partner on the job, taking the step to teach or mentor someone else, every one of those things are elements of leadership. So when you brand it that way, that it's just not about the hierarchy, it's about everyone in your organization taking a leadership role. That's why you tend to last 125 years.
To Bernie's point, I know that Sylvester in post-production will put up a full screen graphic of Lessons in Leadership 2.0, the tough stuff. Not that I'm comfortable promoting the book in public.
Never.
There's a chapter. Mary, what's the chapter called in connection with what Bernie just said?
Which one?
Is everyone really a leader?
Oh, is everyone really a leader? Yes,
That's what Bernie just said. And Mary and I debated that for years. Bernie just said you have to be of some.
You have to be.
Of some sort. Pick it up from there, Mary.
Bernie, this is 125 years, a celebration. And you just mentioned before that you need to look back, look forward. You talked about setting those goals. Looking back, obviously you can do. As you look forward, what are the next 25, 50, what are those years going to look like? If you had to pick one goal, and I know it's, pie in the sky, but for the next 25 years, even the next decade, what does that look like and what is your goal?
Mary, sorry for interrupting. Bernie, could you include AI in that? Go ahead, Bernie, all yours.
Yeah, no, it's always hard to tie it down to one thing. If it was one thing, I would think to try to instill into every one of our members to just improve every day. I made the comment a couple of minutes ago about, sometimes it's great to set a goal, but goals have a finality to it. I don't like goals to have a final destination. That's why I said I want goals to be mile markers on our road to success and everything. So, which
never end, Bernie. You said they never end.
They never end.
Good.
But I want to follow up on that, though. The AI issue, which, again, I embrace it. I love it. My son is in IT. He loves it. They're actually encouraged to use it to do their jobs better. How is AI impacting the IBEW?
I think AI has been a part of our industry long before this. When it came down to CAD and BIM, those were all forms, really.
Hold on, what? What did you just say?
I know what he's talking about. Go ahead.
Bernie, what did you just say?
I just said that it's been a part of our industry for some time now. CAD and BIM are basically AI components. They're artificial intelligence. They lay out jobs so that there's no conflicts in how you lay out work and everything like that. But I'm also a huge proponent of our industry has always evolved and changed, 125 years. So you have to embrace it. It is what it is, and you hope that by embracing it, you find new opportunities that grow from that.
Bernie Corrigan is the president, IBEW Local 102, 125th anniversary. Check out, again, Sylvester, our great editor on the end, will post that into post-production and will put up the website. Celebrating 125 years. Specifically, Bernie, that celebration happens on January 17, 2025. This will be seen then and after. Right. Okay, terrific. Check out the website. Imagine January 17th, 1900.
That's crazy.
It doesn't even make it doesn't make sense. It's amazing.
Congratulations, Bernie, to you and Pat and to the team. Well done, my friend. All the best.
Thank you very much.
You got it. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Promotional support for this edition of Lessons in Leadership with me, Steve Adubato, and my colleague Mary Gamba has been provided by NJ.com, NJBIA and New Jersey Business Magazine, CIANJ and Commerce Magazine, and the Meadowlands Chamber and Meadowlands Media. Welcome back to Lessons in Leadership. Steve Adubato with my colleague Mary Gamba. Mary, in all seriousness, we'll talk about a couple of leadership issues I want to talk about, but when I said to you earlier, hey, Mary, listen, this is a pet-centric interview. There was an interview, a guest that you identified, and I said, do it alone. Why do you think I did it? And what does it have to do with leadership?
I have two reasons that you did it. Number one, it's because you want me to step up as a leader and you were confident that I would be able to do it. So first of all, thank you for being confident in my ability to also open the show, because it was the start of a show. So hopefully I did well. You can give me my feedback later. And the second reason is, and we'll be honest, you don't like dogs. No, I'm kidding.
That's not.
Should we edit that out? No, no. But in all seriousness, there's been segments that you've done, and that it's things that maybe I'm not as familiar with the content. So I'll be like, Steve, why don't you take this one? Because what's most important in a partnership, and we have been partners for 24 and a half years, is you know where one another's strengths are.
We've been partners 24 and a half years and never been romantically involved.
Never, ever, ever. Exactly. So
no scandal, no nothing.
No scandal, no alleged scandal, absolutely nothing. I can't believe, I think I've seen you maybe 6 times since March of 2020.
Well, that's by design. No.
Yeah, it's great. That's why I'm still here.
No, hold on. Go back seriously, because you started out and you did it. When I said to you, and I gave you no warning, and I literally, this is not a joke. April, come here for a second. April doesn't like to be on camera. Where's that interview, the dog thing? You know what I have on it? Oh, look at this. What does that say? Mary Beth Cooney is, what does it say right there? Solo who?
Mary.
Thank you, April.
But what's so funny is you probably reviewed those notes over the weekend and determined it then.
Yes. But
and then you're like, you've got this.
There's a point to this. I made a decision over the weekend when I was prepping for Lessons in Leadership that this needed to be a solo interview done by Mary. But I chose not to tell you until literally a few minutes before. So it wasn't like, yeah, I don't want to do this. It's because I thought you would do a better job, and I wanted to push you outside your comfort zone.
No, and again, I appreciated the opportunity, and it goes back to the fact that you've seen me now long enough doing Lessons in Leadership. As you know, I didn't go to school for this. I have a degree in psychology, and I enjoy having conversations with people. That's why Harley and I became a therapy dog team. I mean, I talk to everybody. I talk to people that can't talk back, and you just see with their eyes that they know that you're there, and it's so near and dear to my heart. So I thank you for that opportunity to be able to do that interview with Mary Beth, and it was really great. She was a great interview, and I hope to have her back again.
Are you telling me now you want Harley to host an interview?
Oh, yeah, no. She'd be a little dull. She's cute, though.
Okay, so without going too far into this, I am not a big fan of telling people you want them to step up and do something with a significant amount of advance time, because I've been a student of something called anticipatory anxiety. And I actually heard Robert De Niro talking about this, Al Pacino, other great actors, the anticipation of what something is going to be can actually be much more anxiety producing than the actual experience. So the experiment, without going too far into this from a leadership point of view, is don't tell Mary until right before.
It was perfect.
Now, someone could say, well, how would she prepare? She's been preparing for 25 years for that. I really believe that.
No, I do. I believe that. And also, too, it's good because you need to have a team, and we talked about it with Bernie just a few minutes ago, that could think on their feet, that you let
Bernie
them
Corrigan.
know that Bernie Corrigan, we just saw him, and he talked a lot about that, about trusting in your team, but also giving your team those skills. And you have given me that feedback over the years. And being open and honest with your feedback has helped me to become a clearer, more concise communicator. I laughed the other day. I got a text message and it was from a friend of mine, and they're like, I'm in this Zoom meeting and somebody keeps using the word like and ah. And I'm thinking of you because you always say never to use those words. And I thank you for that, Steve. I didn't use it a lot, but there were certain tics in my language, and many I'm still trying to get out of my language. But in order to be able to have a conversation and be taken seriously, I thank you for those skills that enabled me to be able to do that on the fly.
I know it irritates people when, and I've said this a million times, our daughter, Olivia, who's 14, and every other word is like. And I always talk about this. It's not like a test, it's a test. It's not like a B, it's a B. And the point I'm making here is that giving feedback to people who work with you and for you and family members, nobody likes it, nobody wants it. But if you don't care enough to give that feedback, then your 14-year-old becomes 24, 34, 44, using these qualifiers like, kind of, sort of, and they don't. I said, Olivia, you're a very smart young lady. You don't sound as smart as you are when you speak that way. And Mary, I'm not saying that's you. I'm saying I picked that up in you, and you push back and give me that feedback. I know there's 90 seconds left, Elvin, I see it. Not like 90 seconds, 90
there
seconds.
There are.
Mary, how rare, and without kissing our butts in public here, I know it's actually a minute, I see it, Elvin. How rare is it to give feedback back and forth without people getting their back up, peeved, how dare you, defensive, angry? How rare?
It is so rare, and it's hard because even in the seminars that we lead, we get paid to give that feedback to people in our seminars.
In the seminars.
Yeah, people get peeved in the seminars, but we remind them this is a gift because no one else is going to let you know this. No one else is going to let you know that you really aren't sounding that intelligent if you're using these communication fillers. So it may make them angry for a little while, but if you do it with the right intention and let them know, I am doing this so you can become a more effective leader and communicator. If they still don't want to see it that way, hopefully then they will actually take your advice.
On that note, these were none of the things we had planned to talk about in this segment of Lessons in Leadership.
Get rid of that.
That's what it is. So for Mary Gamba, who is planning clearly to be the solo host of the program. And by the way, Mary, you can go out and get all the sponsors too, which you play a big part in. But that's the side. Listen, I know we have to say goodbye. It takes a very big village with talented leaders like Mary and the rest of you. By the way, we're going to have every individual team member host a show over the next several weeks.
I love it. Elvin, you're next.
Totally made it up. April, you're next. See everyone next time on Lessons in Leadership. This edition of Lessons in Leadership is made possible by the Buccino Leadership Institute at Seton Hall University, Prager Metis, Valley Bank, the International Union of Operating Engineers Local 825, the North Ward Center, the New Jersey Sharing Network, the Helix, Horizon Blue Cross Blue Shield of New Jersey, Fedway Associates Inc., Port Authority of New York and New Jersey, Shooters New Jersey, and Seton Hall University, showing the world what great minds can do since 1856.
This is Mary Gamba. If you want more leadership tips and tools, log on to stand-deliver.com. That's stand-deliver.com.
Promotional support for this edition of Lessons in Leadership with me, Steve Adubato, and my colleague Mary Gamba has been provided by NJ.com, NJBIA and New Jersey Business Magazine, CIANJ and Commerce Magazine, and the Meadowlands Chamber and Meadowlands Media.